Welcome to our journey as the 2024 cohort for the NSF IRES Transdisciplinary Coral Reef Science course. Prior to meeting in Australia, we attended virtual Zoom classes for 2 weeks to sharpen our knowledge of coral biology and ecology and better our communication skills as young scientists. After those 2 weeks was up, all of us made the long journey from the USA to Australia, where it was many of our first time seeing the Pacific Ocean, let alone a Pacific reef. The whole course took place in the state of Queensland on Australia's east coast. We started our adventure in the Daintree rainforest, which is the oldest living rainforest in the world. After our long travel, we spent the first day settling in and getting to know one another and the facilities at the Crocodilus Eco Lodge. Our first full day consisted of some short hikes led by members of local Aboriginal groups which shared their traditional knowledge with us, including the native spiders. We also spent the afternoon in Port Douglas where we got to sightsee and take in some of the local culture. The next day was a jam-packed adventure, starting with a 5-hour hike through the Cooper Creek Nature Reserve led by guide Neil Hewitt. We were able to trek through the last uncleared, pristine section. We were able to admire the iconic fan palms, strangler figs, and had a run-in with a wait-a-while, native plant that has sharp hook. Our guide Neil gave us a history of the Daintree since the time of European colonization of Australia. It was incredible to be immersed in such a unique ecosystem with a rich history. After our hike, we had lunch at Thornton Beach and got a sweet treat, ice cream with some local flavors. The next day, we woke up, packed up, and was off to the Cairns airport because we were headed to Lizard Island, our home for the next 2 weeks. We took a small private airplane to Lizard, and despite the panic that all of our bags might not fit, it was an awesome ride. We saw stunning views of the Great Barrier Reef from above. Lizard Island is a world-renowned research station, especially in the coral community, so it was a great honor to all of us to be able to learn about the Great Barrier Reef here. Once we arrived at Lizard Island, we had a fun ride to get to the research station, where we spent the rest of the day getting a safety briefing by Lyle and Anne, the staff. We then had some free time to explore the rest of the facilities. It truly is paradise. Our first few days at Lizard, we got into the routine of prepping for the day, getting snorkeling gear loaded in the boats to go out in the morning, and then in the afternoon, attending lectures or hanging out together. We were fortunate to be able to take in all of the beauty that is the Great Barrier Reef before we had to worry about data collection or IDing corals. The first site we visited was called Clam Gardens. It was appropriately named, as you can see. Despite another marine heatwave passing through the area from February to March of this year, I thought that the reef still had so much diversity. After a couple of days, Tyler's PhD advisor, Dr. Brad Eyre, joined us on the island for lectures on biogeochemistry and ocean alkalinity, both in the Great Barrier Reef as well as other locations in the Pacific. We got to participate in assisting Tyler with an alkalinity experiment, from prepping in the lab to deploying chambers in the water. It was a learning experience that none of us had a background in beforehand. Next up on our visitor list was Dr. Morgan Pratchett, a renowned author in the field of coral population biology from James Cook University. It was an incredible experience to be able to listen to lectures from him about the Great Barrier Reef. Some topics included coral reef ecology, the impact of the crown of thorns starfish on coral populations, and fish behavior on the reefs. We also learned how to ID Pacific corals, which proved to be much more difficult than our Caribbean counterpart. It was so much fun to be quizzed in the classroom and then take our newfound skills out in the field. Morgan also taught us a couple of commonly used coral sampling techniques, including the point intercept transect and the belt transect techniques. These would be valuable skills for us to have during our final projects. Once we said goodbye to Morgan, we decided to take a surface interval for a day and explore the island. We of course had to take a break from cooking and visit the Marlin Bar for a burger and drink, but I think the most memorable part of everyone's trip was the hike that we did up to Cook's Look, the peak of the island. We first stopped by the mangroves for a little talk about their ecological importance, which includes water filtration, coastline protection, and carbon storage, which Tyler was most excited about. On our way to the base of the hike, we also found a groundwater stream on the beach, which launched an impromptu discussion on the island's geology and the water table. The hike that we did is named Cook's Look because this is the same peak that Captain Cook scaled during his 1770 voyage in the Endeavour when he realized that he was trapped in a labyrinth of reefs. This hike overall took us around 6 hours to complete, but I'm happy to say that everyone that went on the hike was able to finish it. It was a bit nerve-wracking at times, but we all did a great job and powered through with only one slip. The view over the Blue Lagoon was simply spectacular. After we had made it down from the hike, we walked across to the other side of the island to see more mangroves and make our way back to the field station. With only a couple days left on Lizard Island, we needed to get started on data collection for our final projects. We worked on these projects together in buddy pairs, and everyone got to either pick from an existing dataset or choose their own research question to study. We were able to knock out field collection in a couple of days and had some pretty crazy field tasks. From recording humbug behavior on GoPros to collecting sea cucumber poop, and of course monitoring corals for signs of bleaching, these days were nothing short of busy. We also started working on the data analysis and putting together presentations in our free time, and also choosing to relax with some beachside yoga led by our resident yogi Liz. There is a tradition on Lizard Island that every Saturday is a beachside barbecue. It's an awesome time to get to know the other scientists staying on the island and what they're researching. Our last night just so happened to fall on a Saturday barbecue, which was so much fun and a wonderful time for all of us to reflect together on the amazing experience we had staying here. We were all sad to see the green tractor pull up to our house to load up luggage. It meant that it was time to fly back to the mainland. It was such an incredible experience to be able to spend time on Lizard Island with such great mentors. For many of us, we were mostly in lab-based graduate positions studying coral and didn't have a lot of field experience. This opportunity allowed for more than just scientific learning, as we also were able to learn the unique skills required of being a field marine biologist. This was another long travel day, as we took the same small plane back to the private airport in Cairns, and then boarded a commercial flight to Townsville, the home of James Cook University. We had lots of activities lined up in Townsville. First on the list was a visit to the Billabong Sanctuary, where we got to see all of the iconic animals of Australia. This of course included koalas, which some of us even got to hold, kangaroos, which we all fed, and crocodiles, which we did not feed. We also saw cassowaries and wombats in the exhibits. After a quick break for a traditional Australian lunch of meat pies, we then headed over to the Australian Institute of Marine Science Townsville location. We were all in awe of the facilities here dedicated to coral research. Their husbandry tanks seemed to be endless, and the National Sea Simulator was extremely impressive. After this tour, I think we all wanted to do a postdoc here. The whole next day we spent at James Cook University, attending lectures from researchers there regarding the social and economic impact of scientific research and knowledge. On our last full day of the program, we had a free day to clean up our final projects because it was time to present. We all did a great job. Morgan Pratchett even came back with a few of his graduate students to listen to our talks as well. After we were all done, we went out for a big group dinner and was able to thank both Tyler and Morgan for an excellent program. We all had such a wonderful time, and I know that it will shape all of our lives. We know that this course would not have happened without the hard work of all of these individuals, so thank you so much for your commitment to providing research experiences for graduate students. And to the 2024 cohort, I think I speak for everyone in saying that this experience together will not be forgotten. Thanks for being such a wonderful group.